Going out to my comfort zone with the extremely big, medium-sized map last week, I'm back to my cozy, safe harbor of small maps today. Dead and Buried is quite an interesting scenario. I did not in fact play this a lot when I was a kid. I actually think I never even played it, which is why I thought it would be fun to figure out a quick way to do this scenario. So why is it interesting? Well, you get to play against Dungeon and Necropolis no matter what. The map is very linear, so it shouldn't be all that fun to figure out, right? You just go underground to beat the ever-loving crap out of blue, and sail over to green to make sure the dead are actually dead, right? The interesting bit comes from the fact that the grail is always buried very close to your starting town, either in the starting zone, or just a few steps away from the subterranean gate underground, which presents opportunities. Opportunities which I intend on taking advantage of. So let's hatch a little bit of a plan on how to approach this map. You have probably pieced together that I will be using the grail in this playthrough. And the natural next question then is, which faction can take advantage of the grail the most? Since I intend on finishing this really quickly, creature growth is not considered, just pure grail faction effect. All the siege defense bonuses are worthless. Castle's morale boost and Rampart's luck boost are okay, but not all that helpful in this case. Necropolis's necromancy boost is better for larger maps, and Tower's map reveal can definitely be useful in certain situations, just not this one. And the Inferno bonus is so bad, I forgot to mention it in the original script. Whoops. However, Conflux's all spells effect is just incredible, as it includes Dimension Door, which is probably the second best spell in the game after Town Portal, and even better than Town Portal on a small map like this. So step 1 is getting the Grail as Conflux, which I will get by mapping out a seed, so I know beforehand where the Grail is. How then am I gonna use Dimension Door? Well, to attack green as soon as possible, of course. That's where the nearby Scholar comes into play, as this Scholar levels up Wisdom, no matter which level the visiting hero's Wisdom is. If I can take this Scholar with a hero with Advanced Wisdom, I can then get Expert Wisdom to learn Dimension Door from the Grail Mage Guild. This allows me to DD over the water, close to a hopefully unguarded green town. Easy enough? That's green solved. But what about blue? Blind Aggression is the answer. I'll be using the strongest available early game hero to take the fights on the way to their town, who then, hopefully, can defend an incoming siege. Usually, blue will not defend if you're quick enough to reach their town. The Conflux hero which comes to mind for most of you when I say early game aggression is probably Luna, but I actually prefer CL, as her Magic Arrow specialty makes early fights very straightforward, and it's super easy to focus down blue's bigger creature stacks later. Easier than using Firewall, in this case at least. Can I do all this with one hero? No, I'll need at least 2. CL plus any magic hero who gets Advanced Wisdom on level 2. So CL's job is to take on blue, while hero number 2's job is to take on green, at the same time. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. Tee. Let's get down to business. I pick CL and the gold starting bonus, as I want to buy some additional army to bring with me towards blue. In order to get my preferred seed, I enter the first underground fight and reset twice. I check the tavern to make sure I get the correct seed, and my potential hero number 2 is Luna. Picking up the 2 chests along the way to the subterranean gate and choosing the gold option, I get enough gold to recruit Luna. It's probably a little bit ironic I get Luna, as I scrapped her as a potential starting hero, but yeah, sorry girl. She immediately heads a bit south to pick up another chest, choosing the experience bonus, and levels up to get Advanced Wisdom. I end the turn in the exact same spot, even with movement left over. I wonder why. The next day, CL continues towards blue, taking on lots of infernal troglodytes. My pixie stack is way too small to risk going in for a hit, as I would probably lose a few if the trogs retaliate, so I instead use Magic Arrow on both turn 1 and 2. The air elementals can more easily take a hit, and deal lots of damage at the same time, so I risk taking a retaliation on them instead. The fight is easy enough, but the only concern is whether I used too many spell points. Back to Luna, and we just casually dig and find the Grail. It's handy that it's in the exact same spot I ended day 1 in. I also make sure to upgrade the Magic Lantern, which will let me upgrade Pixies to Sprites, which makes fights much easier with their no retaliation ability. CL takes on the second neutral fight in the underground against some gnolls. Definitely need to use magic arrows here to do this fight. But as long as the air elementals only need to take hits from small stacks of knolls, this should be fine. Which is why I magic arrow the middle stacks to split the potential damage from top to bottom. Easy does it, and we can continue on picking up some gold to buy another hero. Luna then visits the Scholar to get expert wisdom, and runs straight back into town. I recruit Erdemon, upgrade all pixies to sprites, and send Erdemon to flag the ore pit to the east. The goblin guards are easily taken out after waiting on turn 1, and then just one-shotting with a big sprite stack afterwards. Before ending the turn, I remember to actually build the grail structure, which I was very close to forgetting. A blue hero, Straker, runs straight past CL, who I just ignore as I have a plan on how to handle him later. CL's target is the blue dungeon town, which is left unguarded. Hopefully it stays that way. Erdemon then takes out some skeleton warriors with the same strategy as against the goblins. Made even easier this time actually, as I just finished with quick combat. Then picks up some wood before transferring his sprites to Luna, who then walks down to the southeast coast, readies the dimension door, and ends up a couple of steps outside of Green's defenseless town. Nice! She then just walks in and buys a citadel to more easily defend the town from Green when they eventually should attack. I notice Straker heads up the northeast subterranean gate before Green's Ice Rush sieges our new Necropolis town. The strategy here is simple. Stay within the walls and abuse wait turns with the sprites, which I for some stupid reason split up into 4 stacks. This would be so much faster if there were 1 stack. Oh well. I'll spare you the entire fight and let you know that this took a whopping 1 minute and 40 seconds. Narrating sprites waiting and hitting with no retaliation for that long would be quite boring, don't you think? With the help of the arrow tower, this is an easy lossless win. Can you believe auto combat lost? 1999 AI, am I right? Day 5 and CL can walk into the dungeon town. Thanks for the free town, I guess. For some reason, Blue is never fast to try to take the town back, so the plan here is to go on the offensive. The original plan was to wait to get sieged, but it just never happens until week 2 day something, so offensive it is. But to do that, we need more army and combat power. The army? We can get some army from the Portal of Summoning and the Chapel of Stilled Voices. What can we get from the portal? Well, there's a Griffin Tower in my starting zone, which will net me a handy 7 Griffins. Those plus 4 Medusas from the Chapel and double spell points from the Mana Vortex could be enough to take on Blue's main hero, I hope. Luna then finds Green's last hero, Sandro, who has a single Walking Dead. Not gonna bother fighting this one out. And Green is vanquished. Yay! Now to finish off Blue. Luna DDs back towards my main town. Erdemon trades his sprites for Luna's air elementals, then flags the Griffin Tower. I then buy the Portal of Summoning and recruit the Griffins. Then I head for the Star Axis with CL, hoping Blue won't attack her still. Which they don't. Very nice. Day 7. With my massive amounts of gold from the Grail income, I trade the gold for ore in order to buy the chapel, recruit the Medusas, hire Ares, and transfer the Griffins and Medusas to CL, who then finds Darkstorm waiting. Cliffhanger time. I switch to Luna, who goes northeast, DDs to the corner, landing right beside Straker. He has a massive 12 Walking Dead. I'm shaking in my boots. His magic arrow takes out 20 sprites in total, but after blessing them and taking advantage of waiting, I two-shot his Walking Dead. I was never in doubt. Now for the final boss. I tried to organize my units to maximize the total amount of magic arrows needed from Darkstorm to take out my unit stacks. It's a complicated way of saying I want him to split his focus between my units to buy time for me to magic arrow his units down. Was the second explanation less complicated? I'm not sure. Does it matter? Probably not. Alright, let's just go for it. Auto combat is absolutely obliterated. Maybe I overestimated myself a little bit here? The strategy here is to just magic arrow his most threatening stack down. I know he has haste because I have haste in my spellbook, so I anticipate him hasting his regular Trog stack, hence why I start by arrowing them. Then, after I wait with all my units, he hastes his Trogs, making them much more threatening. As long as the Medusas are alive, I'll use them to hit his biggest, scariest stack, which is still the Trogs. I then form a big clump of units around the Medusas, leaving only one stack of Pixies to draw Darkstorm's 3 melee stacks away from the rest of my units. This should buy me time to Magic Arrow over and over, eventually winning by avoiding hand-to-hand combat as long as possible. Following the same formula as on turn 1, Darkstorm now starts arrowing me, leaving only a single Medusa. On turn 3, I know the haste on his Trogs is running out next turn, so I begin arrowing the Harpies instead, as they are now the most immediate threat. I make sure to move the stacks furthest down on the battlefield away from the Harpies' reach as well. On turn 4, most of my units are within reach of his melee units, so the brawling begins soon. But first, some preparation. One Pixie stack is sent to try to split up his forces, and one Magic Arrow is sent the Infernal Troglodyte's way. I still don't want to go too much on the offensive and take retaliation damage, as I want some more Magic Arrow damage to thin out his ranks a bit. Now, the brawling can really begin. This is where the Griffins are especially handy, as they are quite strong relative to Darkstorm's units, and they retaliate twice, so they are way more difficult to whittle down without inflicting a lot of damage in return. Realizing the Griffins will easily handle the Harpies, I arrow the Beholders as I consider them the biggest threat this turn. The Trogs are too far away for now. But the next turn, when the Trogs are closer, they are back on the arrow menu and taken out by an air elemental. The 3 Harpies left are then taken out by my still 7 Griffins, before a Magic Arrow leaves just a single Beholder, and I can then send the electrified cow to the Eternal Farm for good, with a hit for my last 2 air elementals. The worst part? I didn't need the Mana Vortex. I still have 32 spell points left. CL then gets her only level up in this playthrough, Blue is vanquished, and I'm victorious. I'm quite happy with this scenario strategy. Can it be done quicker? I'm not gonna rule this out, as I suppose you can be a bit more fortunate with Blue's pathing, or find a way to use Town Portal more effectively. I'm not sure. Overall though, finishing in less than a week is awesome. 496 score and Archangel rank is also, as always, very nice. As you can see, I finished in 8 days and hoped for better luck. Now I finished in 7, and I'm still hoping for more luck. Maybe you can do it in 6 days? Let me know. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. I really appreciate all of you, and if you have any video suggestions, please leave them below. I read them all. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.